Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video where today we're here back with Season 2 Round 16 of the F1 2020 McLaren Road to Glory career mode. Yes, we're back once more with this championship. If you missed out on last week's video from the Italian Grand Prix, I would definitely recommend going back and checking out some interesting twists and turns in the bigger picture of this series. And yeah, of course there will be spoilers in 3, 2, 1 now, so if you didn't go check out that video, you have missed your chance. But yeah, heading though to the Singapore Grand Prix this weekend, the gap at the top, 25 points between myself and Lando Norris, but Hamilton did pick up his first race victory since the Monaco Grand Prix there. The last time the Mercedes was able to get a win on the board there. It's pretty much been the McLaren show except for that one race where Daniel Ricciardo was able to take the dubs back at the French Grand Prix there. But Mercedes, maybe they're back as we head in towards the final few rounds of the championship. Obviously now into the flyaway stage of the season as well. Obviously Mercedes have been bringing some upgrades to the car in recent weeks. You can see we've actually brought a couple of upgrades though over the last... Oh, I thought we had brought some upgrades in. I'm guessing it hasn't updated the graph just yet until we head to the Singapore Grand Prix. But yeah, we have put another couple of upgrades on the car as we head to Singapore this weekend. But yeah, Mercedes making big progress. We have still got a few points overall ahead of them in the championship, but let's head to Singapore then and see just what we can achieve. Quickly before we jump into this video though, Codemasters once again have been hooking us up with some exclusive deals for you guys. Between now and the end of Saturday this week, there are some mega savings on some of your favourite Codemasters titles. If you haven't tried out F1 2020 yet, this is your chance. £14.40 currently over on Green Man Gaming there. Dirt 5 as well at £18. Dirt Rally 2.0 just £4. And on top of those prices, you can save another 10% by using our discount code as well. The links to everything will be down in the description. This is quite possibly the best offers you're going to get for these games that so far that have been around Win 2021. So yeah, make sure you go check them out. Links, like I said, will be down in the description. You also help the channel out, obviously, if you guys do opt to use our links as well, so it'd be greatly appreciated. But let's dive into the video. So here we are then, qualifying day for the Singapore Grand Prix. One of the most difficult tracks, I still believe, to try and get a lap hooked up on here on F1 2020. It's never been a track I've particularly been strong at. It is a track that I must admit, in the newer higher downforce cars, that I have found quite good fun on the more recent F1 games. But having a quick look then at the old setup, we should... Oh, I'm clicking all the wrong buttons. There we go. Obviously, we'll take the extra fuel out of the car. We don't need that. 6.9 wings for this one. You can see pretty much all our settings as normal, with the exception of that. So let's head out then, here for qualifying for the Singapore Grand Prix. Last time round, McLaren found ourselves on the third row of the grid. Hopefully that won't be the same this weekend. Obviously, Singapore, a very different track to Monza that we went to last time round. But hopefully, yeah, we can just keep it nice and tidy. Got to be aware to try and take a lot of curb in a few places. You know, we have to try to set up the ride height a little bit more to handle that this weekend as well. That's not going to help us. Just nicking the outside wall on the exit of Sector 1 there. It's going to probably cost us a bit of time around the rest of the lap. Hopefully not too much, as we do still go purple through Sector 1 there. Trying to be smooth on the steering as much as possible. Try not to upset the rear end as well, as we just really try and open up the circuit as best as possible there. Almost hit the outside wall in the corner before what used to be the Singapore sling. Chuck it in, take a lot of curb on the entry, try and get it over to the left-hand side again. As all that was close as well. Really trying to push this thing to the absolute limit at the moment. Down through the hairpin, nice and tidy. Short shift back into fourth gear there. Get on the DRS as early as you can, and you can just see Lando Norris just in front of us now as we head down in towards Sector 3. Again, deep on the brakes, just clattering the outside wall there. And that's going to cost us a bit more time as we head down in towards this final sector of the lap here. You know, we need to be close to Lando there. That's not going to help us out. It's been a very scrappy lap when all is said and done. In towards the final few corners though, really try and just take a lot of curb through the chicanes. Oh, that's not where we wanted to be either. Couple more corners to go. We're just picking up more and more damage as we head down through the final turn of the lap. It's going to be a huge amount of understeer up towards the line. P8 on the grid for the Singapore Grand Prix there. It all just continued to get worse and worse as the lap went on there, and I always struggle with Sector 3. It seems to be the AI incredibly OP through there, but that's cost us.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top 3 today. Norris, Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. Goodbye for now then, but we're really just getting started. Make sure to join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
Well, there we go then. A very, very interesting qualifying session here from Singapore. Lando Norris on the pole. We were only 7/10 off our teammate, and around a lap like Singapore, that isn't far off there, but both Mercedes, 2nd and 3rd. Charles Leclerc in 4th place, ahead of Danny Rick, Perez, Vettel, myself, Kvyat and Verstappen, rounding out your top 10 there. So Ferrari looking very, very good around this circuit as well there. But yeah, look at that, 14 cars inside a second. It was only the back markers that were outside of 1 second there. So an incredibly close qualifying session here for the Singapore Grand Prix. Let's dive into the race.
Against the spectacular backdrop of the Singapore skyline, Formula One returns once again to do battle in what tends to become something of an endurance race, with the notorious sauna-like temperatures in the cockpit making for an extremely physically challenging Grand Prix. The Marina Bay Street Circuit then has 23 corners, 13 to the left and 10 to the right, taking us a total of 3.1 miles around the landmarks of downtown Singapore. An average lap speed around here, just 107 miles per hour. Joining us today to oversee all the thrills and spills, it's Anthony Davidson. And great to see you. How are you feeling about the race today, and how are the circuit conditions from what you've seen?
Well, it's looking a bit cold out there, if I'm honest. These tyres have quite a narrow operating window in terms of the temperatures they need to extract the best grip. So with a cold track surface, it's going to be harder to keep those temperatures up, which will lead to lower grip and maybe more mistakes.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday and will start from pole position. And it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Leclerc, Daniel Ricciardo and Perez, Vettel, Mr. Monaco, Kvyat and Max Verstappen, Albon, Gasly, Esteban Ocon and Magnussen, Grosjean, Russell, Kimi Raikkonen and Nicholas Latifi, Stroll and Antonio Giovinazzi starts from the back of the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track and get this Grand Prix underway.
Well, here we are then on the grid, ready for round 16 of the season here from the Singapore Grand Prix. And I said last time out how we ended up down in P5 on the grid, on the 3rd row. This time we seem to have gone one step further back, row 4 on the grid here for the Singapore Grand Prix. But a long race ahead of us nonetheless, 15 laps, we can certainly make some moves work as well. You know, we've got a very quick car underneath us still as we head into this weekend. And at the moment, 25 points over Lando Norris. We can afford to lose a few here if we absolutely have to as well. You know, Lando looking very, very quick as we head into the flyaway season as we near the end of this World Championship. But ready on the grid then, 15 laps ahead of us around the Singapore Grand Prix circuit. Now just waiting on those 5 red lights. And it is lights out and away we go. Off to a fairly tidy start. We got Danny Kvyat having a look round the outside there, down in towards turn 1. Almost into the back of Sergio Perez, but I think we got away with that. We just like keep the nose at the inside of Kvyat. As well, yeah, been a very, very tentative start there. Kvyat has completely sold it around the outside. Ocon has moved forward a fair bit, all the way up to 10th place at the start of this Grand Prix there. So a good little start by Esteban Ocon, but you know, this race is all about survival as well. I've got to be careful of that as Perez and Sebastian Vettel going side by side just up in front of us in towards the next couple of corners here. Kvyat trying to go for the send on Vettel there. That might allow us to move around the outside. I think he's clipped the inside wall. And we are now back up to where we started in this Grand Prix. Back up into P8 off the start there when all is said and done. But look at that, Kvyat still trying to come back at us in towards the Singapore Sling. That's a brave move on that one of the Grand Prix there. But we have held on. And now we've got to try and close up to Seb again. Getting a big run on Sebastian Vettel as we head down in towards Sector 3. A big diving move up the inside. But we have pulled it off. And we're now up into 7th place in this Grand Prix there. So a few moves coming in at the start. Then is everyone just trying to pick up some places where they can. You know, cold rubber though still. Everyone just got to be a bit tentative, but up a spot as we head towards the end of lap 1. Trying to get a run down the Raffles Boulevard on Sergio Perez here. Obviously Racing Point got a very, very quick car down the straights. And again, not quite close enough to go for anything that time round as we just get a little bit loose on the exit of the corner there. Perez does take a bit of a weird line in towards the next corner though, so if we can get the nose up the inside... Oh, he tries to give us a squeeze, but we do get over the curbs there. We are up into P6 of the Grand Prix. We give Perez a big old squeeze on the exit of the corner there, return the favour, if you will, but we are making places up at the start here, and I mean, at the very worst, we should be finishing in 4th behind our teammate in the Mercs, but, I mean, at the moment, we're looking good. Closing up to the back of Daniel Ricciardo here in this race as we head on to lap 3. Can we do what we did to Seb on lap 1 and try to get a good run out onto the back straightaway in towards sector 3? Not quite close enough this time round. And yeah, lap 1 you can probably try and go for a bit of a brave dive if someone's a bit cautious on the brakes. By lap 3 or 4 though, pretty much everyone's settled down into a rhythm in this race. So trying to go for those big aggressive moves, not so easy. We have got yellow flags out though. I think, who is that? I think it's Esteban Ocon in the other Renault going slowly here. So could we see a safety car at the end of lap 3 in this Grand Prix? I don't think Ocon's pulled over just yet. There we go, Esteban Ocon out of the Singapore Grand Prix, but he does park it pretty tidily down in towards, well, not really the tunnel section, but where you go under the grandstand. So that won't give us any drama. We, though, might need to try and go for an undercut on Danny Rick, unless we can get a good run out onto the Raffles Boulevard once more. We tried it on Perez a couple of laps ago. Danny Rick doesn't quite have the same sort of straight line speed package as the Racing Point there. Actually, I say that. If Monza qualifying's in to go by, Renault very, very quick still down the straights. We have got a bit of a run, but again, not quite close enough to go for anything, as we run a bit wide on the exit. Ricciardo going defensive. Can we do what we actually did to Perez? No. Big kick of oversteer, and we have to slot back in. Oh, got really good traction on the exit there. As we head out onto the back straightaway, Ricciardo, he's going to go defensive on us down in towards sector 3. Can we have a look around the outside? He's got to give us the room, and right around the outside of Danny Rick we go. A bit of P5 of this race now, and you can see the Mercs haven't really been able to pull away, nor is our teammate Lando Norris here. Charles Leclerc is hanging on to the coattails of the front runners, so maybe we can still pick up some places in this race. Race pace always strong in this car once we finally get into a rhythm, and Singapore's certainly a track where rhythm is key.
We want to pit this lap, so push now.
Hamilton into the pit lane. The team did want us coming in at the end of this one, but I think it's worth trying to go a bit longer on these soft tyres here around the Singapore Grand Prix. We've really looked after the rubber early on, and I think if Hamilton gets stuck in a bit of traffic as well, which he might just do, this could work out really nicely for us in the long run in this race. Having a look at it, I think Hamilton might come out actually behind the Williams, Alphas and Haas. So perhaps not quite what I wanted, but still okay. But a truth time then, as you can see, I think Lando and Valtteri struggling a bit more on their rubber. They're both going to peel into the pit lane then, so we are going to inherit the lead of this Singapore Grand Prix. And now we need a good attacking lap if we want to try and hold on to this one. The tyres definitely starting to go off just a little bit. And if we can push and keep it tidy, maybe there's more to be had. So as we head round the middle sector of lap 7, Hamilton is actually the one who's been able to make the big gains out of all this. Hamilton now up into the effective lead of the Grand Prix, unless we can do something about it on this lap. So I wonder if the tyres here really are starting to go off. The gap to Hamilton behind us, 24 seconds. He's got 2 seconds. Oh my god, that's not the line through there. That was, I think, cheeky is an understatement to describe that one, as we're just starting to make a couple of small mistakes. Oh, come on. Tyres definitely starting to go now. This might not be great. And that's not going to help us either, just skimming the outside wall as we head down in through sector 3 there. That's going to give us a little bit of damage.
You've taken some minor damage.
Not sure if it's, I don't think it's worth changing it though, to be honest, as we're already halfway through this Grand Prix. No, we may as well get it changed. I'll leave it on auto. The team opt to change it, the team opt to change it. Get it slowed down into the pits. Fairly tidily there. Right, so yeah, the tyres definitely right towards the end of their usable life, but where are we going to rejoin in this Grand Prix? We are in fact getting a front wing change, so that's going to cost us even more time now, but I think yeah, in the long run it probably is worth it in this race as everyone else heads through the final couple of corners. 8.7 isn't too bad with a front wing change. I must admit, there's Hamilton, new fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Lando's going to fly past us, Bottas is going to fly past us as well, as Danny Rick and Charles Leclerc here, maybe Perez and Vettel, are going to be pretty close as well as we head back down in towards turn 1. Yeah, they've both gone past us as well here, so we're basically back to where we started in this Grand Prix. So all that hard work we're going to have to do again there. That strategy, trying to go long, has definitely not worked for us. On to lap 9, we really can't afford to be taking any prisoners at this stage of the day if we still want to try and score some big points here in Singapore. Try and get a good run on Sebastian Vettel out onto the Raffles Boulevard. Ferrari obviously not the best car down the straight, so hopefully we'll be able to make something work. Seb's actually going to go defensive on us in towards the next corner there, but we just about get the run round the outside, and now we're up into P9 of the race. Effectively, I think it should be P7 in this race, but the team there saying great manoeuvre, and I want to agree with them. That one felt like a pretty decent little move. Next up, Perez. Bridge, can we have a bit of a look up the inside of Sergio? Really parking on the apex, but we've pulled off a cheeky little dive bomb on the Mexican there. Been the king of the midfield so far this year, but still can't quite do enough to defend from a front-running car.
2 seconds.
There we go, finally got a couple more people diving into the pits, as I think those back markers have really done a good job bunching up all of the front runners here. A 36.6, new fastest lap of the Grand Prix as well, has really helped us out. Hopefully that'll grant us the bonus point in this race. We see Bottas and Norris actually just up the road going side by side on the exit of the first couple of corners there, so there is a bit of a ding-dong going on for the podium places here. Danny Rick might be able to get himself involved in this one as well as we head out onto the Raffles Boulevard. Once again, Charles Leclerc and the other Ferrari shouldn't be particularly quick down the streets. It's all very, very early on the brakes there. We do get up the inside of Charles Leclerc in a move I had no intention of making previously, but Bottas has got the jump on Lando as well here. So it's now a Mercedes 1-2 in the Singapore Grand Prix. Could they finally? Mercedes have been looking quick these last couple of races. It might just be too late for them to mount a championship challenge, but maybe, just maybe, if they can keep up this form, they could still just about do it. Up the inside of Danny Rick. I think he was always expecting that move to happen, and we've dive-bombed the dive-bomb master. See if we can get a run on our teammate Lando Norris here. I'm trying to work out whether he's got any front wing damage on the front of his McLaren. I don't think so, but again, you see that, how much time we gain through the twisty bits. Obviously, I don't want to go for a risky move on our teammate, but there is still a World Championship to be decided, most likely, between the pair of us. So if we can outscore him here, get that over a 1 race wins margin again, that would be rather nice. But is Lando struggling a bit through the corners? I think he's alright. Maybe he's just had a bit of a confidence knock getting jumped by both of the Mercs here. Perhaps he's just trying to get the car to the finish as well. Can we get a switchback out onto the back straight? We've got a pretty decent little run on our teammate. Again, I don't want to take too many big risks, but Lando Norris very early on the brakes. So we'll just about get the car slowed down, and up the inside we go. I'm in a P3 of this Singapore Grand Prix from 8th on the grid. 4 laps to go though. Can we get any more? Our Mercedes just a bit too much to manage over race pace. Oh, Bottas really kicks out the back end. As we head on to lap 12, the team's still warning us about engine wear, but you can see just how big the run is with the DRS there. So maybe next lap, if Valtteri Bottas does something like that again, we can try and look past him maybe sooner than that as the Mercedes goes defensive. Oh, look at that, Bottas really coming across us on the exit of the corner there, trying to defend the position. You can see the Merc sliding around on its rubber. Again, Valtteri Bottas going defensive down in towards the Singapore sling. There's a bit of contact. There's a lot of contact between myself and the Finn, who, if anything, is just trying to defend the gap for his teammate Lewis Hamilton as much as his own P2 in this race. But it's getting very, very feisty between myself and Bottas. If we can get a run now on Valtteri Bottas out onto the Raffles Boulevard, the win might still be on the cards. If we can't, I can't help but feel like there's just not going to be enough time left in this Grand Prix. And look at that, we have got the run on Valtteri Bottas there, but he moves across. I wondered if he was going to try and go defensive. We still send it up the inside through the next corner. And a very, very aggressive move there on Valtteri Bottas after, yeah, being a bit cheeky, trying to defend through the kink. But 2 laps to go here from Singapore. The gap to Hamilton 2 seconds up the road. Can we close up? Oh, 1 lap to go though. Hamilton starting just to struggle a little bit more on his rubber as we head in towards the final lap of the Singapore Grand Prix. He got a fantastic undercut that's given him this position with just 1 to go here from Marina Bay, but are those tyres just starting to reach the end of their usable life? Obviously, we're on 2 lap fresher rubbers than Lewis Hamilton just in front of us here as we head down onto the Raffles Boulevard. This will be the best opportunity to try and get an overtake on this final lap, but I'm sure Mercedes are throwing absolutely everything they possibly can at it. Look at that, Hamilton is going to go defensive. He's going to give us a big old squeeze towards the outside wall there, and I didn't think Hamilton was going to give us any room at all in that situation. He just about cuts the nose off just after we get on the brakes there, but that's going to cost us. Are we going to be able to find any more opportunities on this final lap here? You know, we keep needing to try and fill the mirrors of the Mercedes man there, as you can see, headed down through Sector 2 here. Could we potentially have a bit of a look over the Anderson Bridge? No, not quite close enough. Hamilton there really chucks it in on the brakes, parks it on the exit as he tries to put the power down there. He does get good drive off the exit off the corner here, but surely as we head now down in towards Sector 3, there's not really going to be anywhere that we can try and make a move work in the final sector of this Singapore Grand Prix. Hamilton might just have done enough, but we're not going to give up just yet. Can we try and force an error out of Lewis Hamilton here? You can see he's trying to save some ERS as we head in towards the final few corners of the Singapore Grand Prix. From 8th on the grid though, Hamilton really trying to just slow us up. In towards the final corner we go. It's not going to be good enough for the race victory, but 8th to 2nd, and we push to the very end.
Good job, you did really well. Super driving.
It's never easy to make it across the finish line here in Singapore, but they've done so with some style here today to take a remarkable victory. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it. Let's see what effect this result has had on the drivers' standings. Mr. Monaco increases their championship lead. Now, let's discuss, Ants. Who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
I have to give it to Mr. Monaco. They fought so hard and had incredible pace at times, so I don't think anyone else did a better job today.
Let's move on to the constructors. Our championship leaders retain their position, but their lead is shrinking. Meanwhile, Ferrari have improved their position. A strong weekend from them as they fight their way towards the top. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
Well, there we are then, guys, the end of the Singapore Grand Prix, and certainly a race that went down to the wire between myself and Lewis Hamilton there. Just 0.2 of a second at the checkered flag there. I think that does make it the closest Singapore GP finish there has been around at the Marina Bay circuit there. But Hamilton, 2 in a row now. Are Mercedes finally making a bit of a challenge towards the end of the World Championship here, or is it just a little bit too little too late there? Myself, P2, with the faster lap bonus point there, means we do still get some very decent points on the board there ahead of Valtteri Bottas, who makes it a double Mercedes podium once more there. Lando in P4 ahead of Ricciardo, Leclerc, Perez, Vettel, Verstappen and Kvyat rounding out your top 10. There a good little battle between the Red Bulls and the Alpha Tauris at the end of that one there. George Russell up in 13th place. You can see the rest of your finishers there. Yeah, Esteban Ocon, the only man not to make it to the checkered flag. Championship-wise, though, 32. The gap opens up to once more in the Drivers' World Championship there, as Hamilton now pretty much as close to Lando Norris as Lando Norris is to ourselves there. What's it, 6 races to go now of the season? So 156 points available. So it is now just Perez, Merckx or ourselves that are going to be able to win the Drivers' World Championship here. Daniel Ricciardo is officially out of it as well as Max Verstappen there. And you can see any other movers? No one at all moving around this weekend there. Constructors-wise, though, we further extend... no, we don't further extend the lead. Actually, Mercedes do take a few points out of us this weekend, but still 144 the gap at the top there. Renault still a little bit clear of a Racing Point, very much Ricciardo versus Sergio Perez at this stage of the World Championship in that battle, as Ferrari, with a decent points haul there from Charles Leclerc, do re-jump Red Bull as well in the battle for P5. Red Bull, yeah, really struggling in the latter half of this World Championship as well there. But there we go then. That has been the Singapore Grand Prix. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, do make sure you leave a like. Get yourself subscribed as well. And yeah, we will be back very, very soon for round 17, where we head to the Russian Grand Prix. You guys do not want to miss it. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.